So welcome back guys to the Becoming Spiritual YouTube channel. I am your host Baba, and today we're going to be getting into a very important topic, that's spiritual awakening or mental illness. Alright. Before I get into that guys, just letting you know I didn't update the Patreon because I'm going to change the tiers again for the reason that I'm not going to put my book out there on Patreon. I actually have gotten it unpublished from Amazon because I'm going to redo it, put an alias instead of my real name, and just kind of, do a lot of improvements on the book itself. So once it's actually sorted, I'll create a new tier for exclusive access to the book, right? But for right now, I'll just be posting like other resources that I've found over the years, for people that are really interested in doing the work. So I definitely have some changes to make, guys, to the Patreon. So just bear with me a little bit on that, right? So yeah, guys, let's get into it. So, a lot of people, when they start having their awakenings, they start to be told that they're crazy or, something is wrong with them. And this is the thing about living in a sick society that prioritizes materialism. Nobody has been really interested specifically in spirituality in the wider society, as a whole. You can't go into a corporate office and talk about spirits and all of these things. They'll say that this person is insane and, they need to be admitted to a mental asylum. And that is the nature and the culture of spirituality for a long time now. It has been suppressed, right? So I'll tell you guys how you can know the difference, and then I'll give you guys a little backstory on myself about my own awakening experience, so that if you guys can relate to it, then it will definitely serve as a kind of a synchronicity for you then, right? So I remember, and just to differentiate, you have people that have lost it, right, completely, right? You have people that that either there's a curse on your bloodline, or maybe someone put a curse on them, or maybe there is brain damage, or there are other things, right, that would have caused them to behave in a particular way, right? So there is that, and there are also people who are so psychically open and they don't have any psychic shielding or protection that spirits just come and make a fool out of them, basically, for their own games and play, right? And this can manifest as mental illness, right? And I do have a background in psychology. That's really what I studied, so I can tell you that I am aware of the different disorders, the symptoms that manifest, and so on and so forth. But a lot of times as well, an awakening will have particular things, symptoms of an awakening then, that will cause people to think that, this person is crazy, when that's not really the case. Alright, so let me walk you through my experience, right? So I remember, when I was young, when I was a child, I always could actually perceive spirits, right? From like the ages of 6 to probably, in my early teens. I could hear them, I could feel them, right? I could feel the energy of a place, I could feel people's energy. I had those sensitivities. But as time went by, you're initiated into the world and the world of materialism and going to school and all of that. Everything kind of dies down. You still have a certain level of sensitivity to yourself, but then it's kind of like repressed. So I remember at the age of 21, right, I had this particular toxic relationship, and it became very toxic and it became traumatizing. And I remember in the same time, That's when like my gifts really started to come online. And this is the thing, people think that, oh, spiritual awakening is this, oh, I can see the rainbows now and I can smell the flowers. It's not. Most of the time, spiritual awakening is a very traumatizing experience and is caused by a traumatizing experience, and not really causation in that sense, but the initiation into your true spiritual awakening often is preceded by some form of traumatic experience. People don't really realize that, right? So I was going through this, and I remember like my mind was AWire completely. Like I would be in my house and I could hear conversations from a distance, right? Of what people were talking about, right? From a distance. When I mean a distance, I mean several feet away from me. Things you shouldn't be able to hear with a regular level of perception, right? And the only thing that could quiet it for me was fire. I had to use candles to meditate and to kind of center and ground myself, because all of what would be considered my higher chakras were just all over the place. Right, so I was picking up so much psychic information, especially when it came on to vibrations and sounds, that it was like, okay. So when my family started to realize what was happening with me as well, they thought I was crazy. They thought I was completely insane. Right? And then within that, there was this, also a higher sensitivity to what matters in life, love and, expressing love. So I was like, came into my heart space at the same time. So it was like this activation was happening, and, it was really, 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 strange for, everyone that was interacting with me at the time. I was even saying it to like a close friend of mine. They were saying, listen, don't listen to what they're saying. It's just probably, just the trauma you went through, the relationship. So anyhow, fast forwarding. So went through the years after that, still having these sensitivities to sound at a distance and other things. And then like, a lot of things started to happen. Right, and in 2019, another toxic. It's like relationships were my initiations, right, into higher levels of spiritual awakening. So I had this other girlfriend, and then I came into my awakening, my full awakening, and this was like at around age. This was like a few years later, right? A couple of years later, right? And when I came into this awakening, I was like, wow, there are only so many things in life that really matter, right? Your connection with whatever you call God, living your purpose, and something else. I don't remember what exactly it was, but there were like 3 epiphanies. And then, more spiritual information started to come to me. I started to meet different people that were involved in different spiritual groups, started to get more information, and when I really started to tap in that time, I started having visions again. I used to have them at the age of like 6 years old, but they came back online, and I was like, whoa. So I was like, I was having these vivid dreams, waking up, sweating, and they were so vivid, it's like it was happening right there, then and now. And when I had the dream, the visions, they manifested like 2 weeks later, right? And then another one manifested probably like 3-4 weeks later. You get me? So these things were online, and I could prove it that, listen, I am clairvoyant. I can see shit before it happens, right? Right. And, then it started to manifest in other ways. I would go to different kind of places, and I could feel spiritual entities surround me in like an embracing way. And when even to this day, if I like walk into a cemetery or a funeral home, right, I can feel the spirits come and surround me. It's like they're so interested in knowing who is this youth, or who is this guy, his energy is, they're interested in trying to figure me out, because they can sense that there's something different about me, right? So, and I'm not saying this for any form of exaltation. I just hope that some of you guys can relate to these things. So getting back into it, when I started to go around these spiritual groups and so on, I got more information. And when I started to really meditate now and get into it, the visions, they kept coming and coming, right? More my chakras, after they were lined up, I started to come out of this space of fear and what people think about me and all of these things. And different chakras started to come online, minor chakras, outside of the 7 main ones. I realized I could do things with energy, so there was a lot of things, because I am clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, and also the clear that you can taste things, right? So I have a lot of the clears, which is why I know that in some past life I was probably some priest of some high order priest, probably Egyptian priest or something, right? Because even when I go around people at the time who I thought were more advanced than me, they basically implied a similar thing. People thought that, like, I came from a bloodline of like shamans, basically, because of what they saw in my energy, right? So I want you guys to know that I'm not just here either just making things up for views, because really this channel is more inclined for you guys. It's about me teaching what I know to you guys, so you guys can use it and elevate yourselves, right? It's not really about me. It's not really about the money. It's really about purpose, because I know that I am supposed to teach, right? So again, guys, you start to have these experiences where you're hearing, spirits are coming to you, telling you things. Probably the dead are dreaming you, showing you the future, and all sorts of things start to happen. You can't necessarily go to your mother or somebody that all they believe in is making money and tell them about these things. They will look at you like you are batshit crazy, and they probably will try have you admitted to a mental institution as well, because they're going to say that is psychosis. You get me? So when you are psychically sensitive and gifted, you first have to ground yourself. You have to meditate. You have to do the chakra work. And you have to balance yourself so that you can have control over your gifts. So that you can discern between thought and intuition. You get me? Between thought and your gifts and your subconscious and other things that may be trying to interact with you. Because one of the main things about working with deities, why you have to meditate and quiet your mind, is because they will speak to you through thought. Right? So you have to learn how to quiet your mind. So you do the meditation. I have everything in the earlier videos. Meditate, guys. Clear and line up your chakras. Keep doing the work. Right? Because you'll be amazed at the things that you can do. Right, and don't think that the spiritual path, when you start to walk it, it's going to be glitters and rainbows. No, you're going to have to learn how to do some dark work. Not only your shadow work in terms of your spiritual self, but you'll need to learn how to tap into that anger and everything else that's within you. And when you have enemies that are trying to destroy you, you're going to have to do some things. You get me? To put people in line. Because when you are gifted spiritually, it's like Neo in the Matrix. You're going to see people come out of the woodworks against you. Even though you're not trying to attract that, and even though you're keeping a heart space centered living, people are going to try and come at you, try to destroy you because that is how this thing works. It's like these people are not conscious, or they're not tapped in. And what will happen is that other things that may not be in alignment with you will use them to come and cause chaos in your life and throw you off your path. So you must learn, if you're a practitioner, to do all things, good, bad, and everything in between. You must go to the realms of hell and the realms of heaven equally, right? Because you have to protect yourself, and you'll have to protect your loved ones as well, if you need to. So it's important, guys, that you don't get a misunderstanding of this journey. And it's important that you understand that people will say all sort of shit about you. But it's about you stepping into your power. Your power. Okay? So yeah, guys, so that's basically it for this particular video. Again, guys, have a little patience with me on the Patreon. Going to sort it out, but I just have to figure out how I'm going to do everything, because I don't want to put too much information out there about myself, because again, I'm private, and I'm not really looking for attention. Right? So alright, guys, so we will so yeah, we'll talk. So with peace and love, guys, you take care until next video. Okay? Alright, guys, bye bye.